A Tale of a Muslim Girl and Her Infidel Lover. A novel by Dr. A. Ahmed. This is an intriguing epic story which resonates with love, resilience, courage, and sacrifice. Before we dive into the tapestry of the story, I would like to inform the reader that this novel is narrated in 3 books. Book 1. The beginning of forbidden love between a university Muslim student and her infidel professor. Copyrights. All rights are reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means without the prior written permission of the author, except by a reviewer, who may quote brief paragraphs for a review to be printed in a public newspaper, general magazine, school journal, or university article. This novel is a work of fiction, but the entire story is based on a real life of a Muslim girl in Sudan. All names, characters, places, and events are either the product of the author's imagination or used literary. Any resemblance to actual people, living or dead, events or locales is merely coincidental. Chapter 68. The African lover had been whipped to death. We have to go back to the day in which the so-called infidel Christian lover was whipped 100 lashes in a public place by 2 executioners in Khartoum city. The Quran said the punishment of every condemned person should be done in an open public place, and let a group of Muslim people witness his punishment. So there were a huge crowd of Muslim people, men, women, old, and children gathered to watch the punishment of the so-called infidel Christian man Dr. Samir Peter Deng. Those 2 ruthless executioners stripped his upper shirt and tied him to a wooden post. They made his back naked. They were Muslims and knew the crime of Dr. Samir. They heard that their victim was an infidel Christian man who kidnapped a Muslim wife from her lawful Arab husband and took her to Eritrea and committed with her the haram sex of adultery. Furthermore, they were aware that his father was an African from the south of Sudan, and his conjugal girlfriend was an Arab girl from a royal family. Therefore, their problem with their victims was religious as well as racial. Those were the hidden motives that led the cunning judge of the Sharia court to condemn Dr. Samir more than his girlfriend Dr. Ibtihal. Then the 2 executioners began to flog his back with 2 long cat-o'-nine-tails whips. They did not stop flogging his back until they reached the 100th lash. From strike 70th, their victim had lost consciousness. His mouth stopped groaning, and his body became lifeless. Through experience, the executioners knew that the person who stopped feeling the pain at this stage would not survive for another 10 beatings. Despite that, they decided to end the job by slaying the infidel man in their next 10 strikes. The smell of the blood of their victim always gave them hunger to shed more blood and cause more damage to the back of the condemned prisoner. After the 80th lash, Dr. Samir's head dropped down, a sign that the executioners interpreted as he died and became a lifeless corpse. Therefore, the 2 black Arabs slowed down and began to strike his back with lesser strength until they completed 100 lashes. I know the phrase black Arab is an oxymoron statement because a person cannot be black and Arab at the same time. The Arabs are reddish or whitish in the color of their skins, and also Semitic people because they are the descendants of Shem, the first son of Noah. Whereas the black people are Africans and descendants of Ham, another son of Noah. Then why do 90% of the black northern Sudanese claim to be Arabs when they are black and have African features? Well, the Western reader may not be able to comprehend the extent of the disgusting and ugly racism that had been introduced to Sudan since Islam permeated it. Islam, by virtue of its class distinctions, had created a new breed of species of human beings known as black Arabs. If a black man claims that he is a white man or vice versa, you will think that that person is either mentally challenged or psychologically sick. The Arab invasion of Sudan resulted in the country being renamed Arad al-Sud, or Al-Sudan, which means the land of the people of black skins. A new breed of people came into existence and claimed Arabic descent. They are black. From head to toe, they are Africans. However, calling any one of them an African will result in death threat for the insult. you will be likening him to a Zongi, or a Negro. Therefore, the phrase black Arab is an oxymoron statement. These two words, Arab and black, must not exist in the same sentence. As we mentioned above, the Arab is reddish and Semite. Jews and Arabs are the descendants of Shem, the first son of Noah, and that is why they are called Semitic people. The African man is black and Hamitic, descendant of Ham, the second son of Noah. White people and Indians of India are Japhetic people, the descendants of Japheth, the third son of Noah. Today, the black Sudanese Arabs consider themselves to be masters and the original African Sudanese their slaves. As we mentioned, this evil form of racism started when Sudan ceased being a Christian country. The conquering Muslim Arabs, as was their custom, treated the women of the defeated African Christians as their sabaya, or female war captives. As captive women, they were subject to being raped without the need of their rapists to marry them. Children born out of those forced rapes were called the Aulad al-Jawari, children of black slaves. Those children later claimed to be pure Arabs and follow in the footsteps of the very people who sired them. Despite the vernacular black complexion and the afro hair, they still claim to be pure Arabs and descendants of the Arabs of Arabia. Understandably, the divisions resulted in a long-lasting civil war in the south of Sudan, which recently led to the division of the nation of Sudan into the African south of Sudan and the Arab north of Sudan. It also led to the uprising of the African Sudanese tribes of Darfur province. To stamp out the Fur rebels, the Islamic government resorted to hideously efficient crimes, condemned by the International Criminal Court, and led to the eventual indictment of the President of Sudan, Omar al-Bashir, and his mujahideen of the Janjaweed, or the Rapid Support Forces of hideous war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. After that brutal beating by those two black Arab executioners on the naked body of their victim, a medical doctor came and checked the lifeless body of Dr. Samir and declared him dead. The two Muslim executioners understood that they had done a good job, and hence they sat down and relaxed. Usually, when a prisoner dies after he receives those brutal 100 whippings, his dead body will be handed over to his relatives for burial. If the slain victim has no one to claim his dead body, then his corpse will be handed over to a hospital for trained doctors to do their training on it. That was exactly what they had done with the lifeless body of Dr. Samir. His dead body was transferred to Khartoum General Hospital for an autopsy. A group of medical students along with a senior doctor gathered around the body of Dr. Samir like a group of butchers that gathered around the carcass of a newly slaughtered cow. Their knives and scissors were in their hands and ready to cut the body into slices. Before they did that, they decided to apply some cleaning liquid to wash the dried-up blood clots that covered half of the lifeless body. While they were performing this initial step, one of the students noticed that there was a slight movement in one finger of the hand of the dead body. He immediately informed his senior doctor about his discovery. The senior doctor checked the dead body several times before he believed the words of the junior medical student. Then he stopped the process of autopsy and ordered a rescue surgery to be done as soon as possible on the unconscious body. The former medical team of junior students was removed, and a new team of senior doctors replaced it. After that, a complicated and long surgery was performed before the doctors collectively agreed that there was hope for that prisoner to survive the brutal beatings. As a matter of fact, some of those senior doctors identified the victim as one of their colleagues and one of the greatest doctors in the Soba hospital, and therefore they decided to save his life. After that, Dr. Samir remained in the hospital for 3 months. During this long period, 4 surgeries had been done on his brain, back, and neck before he came back to life. Initially, he lived like a vegetable in his first month. The doctors discovered that the whipping had done a lot of damage to his spinal cord, which affected his entire nervous system. The damage was so bad that they concluded he might not be able to walk or talk again. They decided to try first to work with his brain. Therefore, a brain surgery was done on him with little hope. The result was amazing that some doctors considered it a miracle. Dr. Samir began to talk and recognize things around him. Then they did a couple of surgeries on his back. His legs began to move. After that, they followed them by another 2 surgeries on his neck from behind and from the front. On the 2nd week of the 4th month, the prisoner Samir Peter Deng was discharged from the Khartoum General Hospital and taken directly in a police wagon to the Khobar Central Prison to complete his 1-year term. During his stay in the hospital, no one ever came to visit him. At that critical and difficult time, Dr. Samir longed for his beloved Arab girlfriend Dr. Ibtihal to come and visit him, but she didn't come. He wanted to see her beautiful eyes and gaze at her lovely face. He was longing to hear her musical voice whispering those loving words in his dying soul, and resurrect him back to life. When she did not come, her lover concluded that due to the social and religious pressures, she had forsaken him forever. When he had been brought back to prison, for unknown reasons, he was kept in solitary confinement until he completed his remaining 9 months. It was the cruelest punishment that a person could ever go through in his life. It was what they had done to him during those 12 months. The prison authority refused to allow his family members to talk or visit him. They refused to reveal to them any information about him. His parents contacted the prison authority and inquired about their imprisoned son. The prison authority refused to disclose any information about him because at that time he was in the hospital fighting with death. They wanted to wait until he died, and then they could gladly carry the sad news of his death to his African family in the south of Sudan. When his beloved Arab girlfriend came to visit and inquire about him in prison, they didn't agree to tell her anything about her lover and discouraged her from returning. They even threatened to punish her by throwing her behind bars if she came back. At that time, Dr. Samir was fighting for his life in the hospital. If she knew where her lover was, she would have come and healed him with her lips and nursed him from their fountain of love. His beloved babe would have nursed him as her adored lover and slept under his bed during the night and took care of him in the daytime. As soon as Dr. Samir came out of the dungeon, he decided to leave the north and go back to his Christian family in the south. He decided to go away from Khartoum city because everything in that city would remind him of his beloved Arab girlfriend Ibtihal. He sold his house and everything he owned. He withdrew all his money from the banks and closed all his accounts. He decided to return to the south and build his own private hospital and settle down with his African people, and also work at Juba Hospital. Just a few days before his departure, he read in the newspapers the heartbreaking sad news of the arrest of his beloved Ibtihal and Pastor James. The devastating news turned his life upside down. He immediately contacted his parents and from them, he came to know everything. He came to know his beloved Arab girlfriend came all the way from the north to look for his Christian family in the south. His father told him about the ugly quarrels and the false accusations that his sisters and brothers had directed against his Arab fiancée Ibtihal. They had accused her of causing the untimely death of their brother Dr. Samir. His Muslim apostate girlfriend vehemently denied those malicious allegations and tolerated all the squabbles of her lover's siblings. Notwithstanding, his brethren finally chased her out of their house. Although his sisters and brothers kicked her out of their residence, still his Arab girlfriend determined to stay in the south and wait for her African lover's return. His father also told him that his fiancée had been appointed a medical doctor in Juba General Hospital, and that was the step which she took, and made everybody in the church jealous of her. Those envious believers tried to convince Pastor James to kick the Arab girl out of their church. Some of them went to the extent of trying to prevent the church from baptizing her. They said she was a Muslim girl and not a true Christian believer. Nonetheless, Pastor James refused to listen to those envious believers. While she was taking water baptism on a Sunday, some northern Muslim military soldiers entered the church and arrested his Arab fiancée along with Pastor James and 2 elders. Finally, the father said to his son, Everyone in the church believed that his sisters were the evil betrayers who informed those Arab soldiers about the conversion and baptism of an Arab girl, who was originally from a Muslim background and born and brought up in the north. As a matter of fact, everyone in the church knew that his sister Susan was having an Arab soldier as a boyfriend and used to fornicate with him without marriage. He repeatedly said he could not marry her unless she became a Muslimah, but she refused and continued her illicit friendship with him. Susan refused to change her religion because she came to know her Muslim lover was already married and had an Arab wife who was his cousin and had 2 children with her. She told him if he agreed to divorce his first Muslim wife, she would become Muslimah and marry him. But her Muslim boyfriend refused to leave his Arab wife and marry a black Zanji woman or Negro girl. She was after all a free pussy for him, and he decided to enjoy with her until he returned to his Arab wife in the north. Therefore, the despicable and adulterous Christian girl Susan Peter Deng was the one who informed her Muslim lover about the apostasy and water baptism of the Arab apostate girl Ibtihal. Through that wicked Jalabi Arab soldier, the matter of the baptism of the Muslim apostate girl Dr. Ibtihal reached the ears of top generals in the Sudanese army and led to that military raid in the biggest church in the south. After that brutal Arab raid and the female betrayer had become known, Susan had been kicked out of the church by the elders and banned from joining any other Christian church in the city of Juba. Chapter 69. A deal with a ringleader of a gang. Dr. Samir dropped the phone receiver from his hand and fell on his knees, and then prostrated on the floor and began to weep. He blamed himself for doubting the pure love that his Arab girlfriend Ibtihal showed him from the time she fell in love with him. Every time she was the one who took the initiative. She sacrificed everything for him, but he sacrificed nothing for her love. She deserted her own family and forsook her religion, but he forsook nothing. While he was in the hospital fighting with death, she was in the south fighting with his own family to prove her genuine love for him. Although she was falsely accused of causing his untimely death and kicked out of his family's house in an undignified manner, she did not give up hope. She stayed behind and waited for his return. She held up that hope until his own family members betrayed her. Instead of protecting her, his siblings handed her over to those ruthless Muslim Arabs to slaughter her as an apostate. As believers in the Lord who have been commanded to love their enemies, his siblings betrayed a girl who put her life at risk and boldly confessed her apostasy out of Islam and conversion to Christianity. Dr. Samir felt as if he was the one who betrayed her when he came to know his sister Susan had been kicked out of the church as an evil female betrayer, who handed his Arab girlfriend and her church pastor to the Muslim soldiers. At that moment, a feeling of anger filled his heart. His first reaction was to kill himself before those Arabs would kill his Muslim apostate girlfriend. Then his anger turned into revenge. He felt he should go to the south and slaughter his cowardly Christian sister Susan before his beloved Muslim apostate girlfriend Ibtihal would be cruelly murdered by the judge of the Sharia court. His revenge changed into a sacrifice. He thought he should go to the Sharia court on the trial day and inform the judge that he was the one who brainwashed and deceived the Muslim apostate girl Ibtihal Taha al-Amin. Instead of executing her, he would ask the judge of the Islamic court to pass the death sentence on him. Dr. Samir had remembered his beloved Arab girlfriend when she got blackmailed and raped by the despicable psychiatrist Ismail. She said she would kill herself before the judge of the court would kill her Christian lover. Moreover, he expected those fanatic rulers of the Sharia court might slaughter him and kill his apostate girlfriend too. Therefore, he began to think of a way to rescue his Muslim apostate girlfriend from the hands of those heartless Arabs before they put her to death. But he knew and understood that alone he could do nothing. Then he remembered the man who rescued his beloved girlfriend from the claws of her evil blackmailer, the despicable Muslim psychiatrist Ismail. He remembered the notorious criminal Haber whom he healed when every cop in the capital city was after him to arrest him or kill him. The criminal Haber had been ambushed, cornered, and shot by the Khartoum police. They shot his body full of bullets. His gang members somehow managed to carry his half-dead body from the crime scene and took him to a hiding place in Omdurman City. That place had happened to be near the house of Dr. Samir. Then the gangsters broke into the house of Dr. Samir and kidnapped him at the gun pointing. They took him to the place where their leader was fighting with death. Dr. Samir agreed to treat the gang leader out of compassion rather than fear. Whatever he wanted to treat their wounded leader, the gang members brought to him. Dr. Samir removed all the bullets from the body of Haber. Then he continued his treatment for quite a long time. All this time, the gang held Dr. Samir captive. They did not release him until their leader was fully recovered. During that time, a kind of friendship between the gang leader and Dr. Samir was established. The gang leader released Dr. Samir and promised to help him with whatever service he might need in the future. Dr. Samir thought there would never come a day on which he would need the help of a ringleader of a notorious gang. Despite that, his love affair with his Arab girlfriend, the lovely Princess Ibtihal, had proven his conclusion twice to be wrong. He was led by the bad situation that his beloved girlfriend put herself into to protect her father's honor and their love, and allowed that wicked and selfish Muslim psychiatrist to rape and impregnate her. Dr. Samir had been left with no other alternative. He approached Haber and requested him to intervene and stop the blackmailing of his fiancée. The dangerous criminal immediately put an end to that otherwise insurmountable blackmailing business. He went with 10 of his dangerous gangsters to the psychiatrist's apartment and hammered the shit out of him. Then they gave him 24 hours to leave the capital city and never return again. They told him specifically he should never harass or blackmail Dr. Ibtihal again. The coward man, in tears and trembling, said to the gang leader that he would not even mention the name of that woman in his tongue all the rest of his life. Even so, Haber did not leave him alone until his gangsters chased him out of the capital city. Dr. Ismail fled in terror out of Khartoum city and returned to his native town in the Darfur region. He then became a hoax medical doctor and began to cheat the simple people by falsely claiming to have studied medicine at Cambridge University in London. Accordingly, once again Dr. Samir decided to approach Haber and pay him whatever amount of money he would ask for if he could stop his beloved fiancée from being put to death by the prison authority. Haber agreed to kidnap Dr. Samir's fiancée from the maximum security prison for $25,000. But Dr. Samir promised to pay that huge amount of money if Haber would not only kidnap his fiancée from prison, but also smuggle her out of Sudan to a safe country. Haber agreed to perform both operations, but he asked for another additional amount of $15,000. Dr. Samir agreed to double the amount to $50,000 if Haber and his gang could safely kidnap his fiancée from the hand of the police and take her to a Western country. The dangerous gangster told his friend Dr. Samir, for $50,000, he was ready to assassinate the president of Sudan and kidnap his wife and smuggle her to any Western country. When all the practical details had been concluded, the secret operation of rescuing the imprisoned Muslim apostate girl from the gallows was set in motion. Then her boyfriend Dr. Samir had paid half of the amount in advance, and the other half would be paid only after he received a letter written by his fiancée Ibtihal that she had safely reached a Western country. The gang ringleader Haber accepted the deal and promised that he would personally make sure that no harm would happen to Dr. Samir's girlfriend. He also promised that she would be taken to a safe country in the West. Chapter 70. Masterminding and carrying out the rescue operation. The dangerous ringleader Haber and his gang discovered that the task of kidnapping an imprisoned woman from a maximum security prison was not as easy and possible as they thought. Therefore, the negotiation of the deal and the plan of kidnapping the detained Arab girlfriend of the African man Dr. Samir went on for a couple of months, until the Muslim apostate girl Dr. Ibtihal was tried and condemned to death by the judge of the Sharia court. Initially, Haber's gang planned to kidnap the imprisoned Muslim apostate girl from the maximum security penitentiary. However, after consulting his mastermind planners, Haber was told that there would be a high risk of killing the woman in question during the kidnap operation. The ringleader said to his gangsters if the woman were killed, he would kill them all too. Accordingly, the first plan was cancelled and a new plan was made. The best mastermind expert of the gang carefully drew this second plan. According to this new plan, the woman in question should be kidnapped from the cops in the street. In the street, there would be a smaller number of police officers and guards, and hence a high probability of snatching the woman from their hands without any harm done to her. The gang leader Haber approved the second plan, after taking into consideration all the risks involved. At first, the kidnap operation was planned to take place during transferring Dr. Ibtihal from her maximum security prison to the Sharia court, or vice versa. In the first attempt, the operation was called off at the last moment because the planner did not take into consideration Pastor James. The operation would have been carried out successfully if Dr. Samir did not call on the phone at the last moment and requested the church pastor James to be included in the kidnap. He promised to pay an additional amount of $15,000 if the pastor would be included. Haber phoned the leader in charge of the operation and cancelled it. Then he informed the operation leader to kidnap the Christian woman along with her church pastor. The leader in charge asked Haber to conduct an emergency meeting with the same mastermind expert of the kidnapping planner, and to do quick changes to include the pastor. Haber met with the mastermind planner and ordered him to include Pastor James. The mastermind said the time would not be enough to make any changes. There were only 2 or 3 hours left for the two suspects to be tried and returned to prisons. The guards would take the Muslim apostate woman to the women's prison through a different street, and the male guards would return the pastor to the Khobar jail through a different route. Nonetheless, Haber insisted that a new plan must be drawn quickly, and both the Christian woman and her pastor be kidnapped from their guards. The mastermind planner had been left with no choice. He had drawn a hasty plan, and its details were transmitted through a cell phone to the operation leader in charge. Whether the Khartoum police intelligence intercepted that phone message or a mere chance, the woman and her pastor after the trial were returned to their prisons through different streets from the previous ones. In accordance, the kidnappers waited in vain for the 2 police convoys to arrive in their ways, but not a single guard came their way. The dangerous gang leader Haber was outraged when he lost 2 golden opportunities to kidnap the woman. But he blamed no one except Dr. Samir. He blamed him because he did not include the pastor from the beginning. Alas, the pastor became out of reach because he was sentenced to 14 years imprisonment and cast into a maximum security dungeon. Therefore, the last and only chance they had was to kidnap Dr. Ibtihal on her way to the gallows. Then Haber had summoned his top mastermind planners and operation leaders and ordered them to draw a flawless plan for kidnapping the condemned young woman from the hands of her guards and the other cops while they were taking her to the execution ground. He warned them that no matter what should happen, no harm should befall the condemned girl during the kidnap operation. He told his operation leaders if the girl reached the gallows and got hanged, then he would send them all behind her to their graves on the same day. The kidnap expert masterminded the following plan. He asked the operation leaders to steal 2 trucks. Those trucks should be stolen on Thursday night. One of the 2 trucks should be loaded with explosive grenades. Those kinds of grenades were usually used in breaking solid rocks while digging wells. The second truck should be without any bombs. Those trucks should intercept the police convoy on their way to the execution ground. The driver of the truck, which was loaded with explosive grenades, should be one of our boys who would know how to deal with armed cops in a difficult situation. Perhaps in such a situation the cops would threaten to shoot him, but usually, they don't do that unless they sense danger from him. The driver should pretend that he didn't understand the Arabic language. The cops most probably would pull him out of the truck and try to move it out of their way. The driver should switch on the wire that was connected to the explosive grenades before the cops pull him out of the truck. When the truck exploded, the second truck should quickly move and block the police convoy from the rear. At that moment, the rest of our guys would emerge from another small road in for small vehicles. 4 well-trained gunmen and a driver should occupy each car. From each car, 3 gunmen should come out and fire tear gases near the rest of the convoy. Everybody in those 4 vehicles should be carefully masking their faces not to be affected by the tear gases nor be identified. Then those 12 gunmen should shoot every cop on the scene. No stray bullets should be fired. Such a mistake might be fatal to the woman we were going to kidnap from those cops. When the woman was snatched from her guards, there should be 1 vehicle specified for her transfer. The other 3 vehicles should neither follow that vehicle nor try to find out where the driver was heading. Those 3 vehicles should remain behind for 5 minutes before they should leave the scene of the crime. Every vehicle should go in a different direction. Moreover, there should be a few of our boys in that place who would supply logistic assistance in case the gunmen might need such help from them. Those boys should be disguising themselves as sellers of vegetables and moving vendors. That was the way the plan of rescuing the Muslim apostate girl Ibtihal from her imminent execution was masterminded and successfully carried out. The notorious ringleader Haber himself contacted the Rashid Amun and told him to wait in a specific place in a particular suburb of the capital city where his boys would bring the young woman whom he wanted to send abroad with his caravan. The Rashid Amun was doing this work for the ringleader for a quite long time. He smuggled many Sudanese women to Europe for the dangerous ringleader of the notorious gang. In a few cases, even men were dressed up as Muslim women in black burqas or abayas and niqabs, and were successfully smuggled through that Rashida caravan. It was the mastermind of the plan who came up with the idea of kidnapping Maulana Noor al-Huda Zain al-Abidin Saif al-Dawla. He said to his ringleader that kidnapping and hanging to death the judge of the Sharia court would give the gang boys enough time to transfer successfully the condemned to death Muslim apostate girl to the Rashid Amun and his caravan at the specific suburb of Khartoum. That was what the planner had told his ringleader, but he had an ulterior motive. As a matter of fact, the mastermind planner of the rescue and kidnap operation happened to be a Christian man from the Nuba Mountains, but a member of the gang. He heard the trial of the apostasy of the former Muslim girl Ibtihal and Pastor James on his TV, and became extremely outraged when he heard the blasphemy and challenge of the arrogant Muslim judge. Therefore, he seized the opportunity and determined to show the evil Muslim Maulana his Christian God is more powerful than his little Allah. He also anticipated that the crowd would revolt and go into a violent riot, when they would discover that instead of the condemned apostate woman their spiritual leader was hanged by the police authority. That would deviate the attention of the police authority for a while until the gang guys successfully execute their job. The ringleader Haber was an atheist, and for him, God never existed, and hence he gladly welcomed the idea of kidnapping and hanging the evil Muslim judge for the reason the mastermind gave. His parents were from Western Sudan. They were African animists who worshipped the spirits of their ancestors. Their gods were known as Kagor. Therefore, they taught him neither Christianity nor Islam, but their ancient African religion, which he could neither understand nor believe in it. The ringleader also thought the kidnapping and hanging of the Muslim judge would please his friend Dr. Samir, who saved his life in the past. He also realized that the Christian doctor had become deeply hurt by the trial of apostasy and condemnation of his beloved Arab girlfriend. The kidnapping and then hanging of the wicked judge of the Sharia court was considered to be 2 different operations, and hence for every operation, a group of expert boys and girls were carefully selected and instructed. The kidnappers were told to begin their operation at 4 a.m. First, they should break into the residence of the judge and kidnap him. Then they should bring Maulana to the gang executioners. The executioners were to be women because the planner knew from experience that females would hang every woman condemned to death. The executioners were told to shave the long beard of Maulana, and his mustache and eyebrows. His mouth should be sealed with strong tape, so that he should never be allowed to scream or utter a word. He should be dressed up in a black burqa just like a Muslim woman. Nothing of his body, hands, bald head, or feet should be visible. At 9:30 a.m., they should bring him to the place of the execution. For females from the gang who would be dressed up as prison guards should climb to the platform where there were the gallows. Then they should hang him as quickly as possible and flee from the platform. The executioners should disappear from the scene as soon as the judge is declared dead by the medical doctor. That was the way the plan was masterminded and carried out successfully by Haber and his gang. There were a few irrelevant details which I purposely ignored. If the reader is interested in knowing more about this genius plan, he can consult other narrations. Another important thing I would like to mention before I go back to the miraculously rescued Muslim apostate girl Dr. Ibtihal is to answer the hanging question: how Dr. Samir was managed to hide while every cop in the capital city was after him. He was hiding in Haber's house. It suffices to say, it is less dangerous to uncover the face of a Rashida woman than to uncover the house of the notorious gang ringleader Haber. No cop in the entire capital city of Sudan can even dare to come 100 meters closer to the abode of that dangerous criminal. His name scares even Satan the devil and all his demons. This story is to be continued in Book 2 under the title, The Muslim Apostate Girl and Her Infidel Christian Lover. About the author of this novel. Dr. Ahmed is an author and scholar. He has 5 university certificates, BA, MA, and PhD, in philosophy and comparative studies of religions from India, and a bachelor's and a master's degrees in religious studies and philosophy from Canada. He was born and brought up as a Muslim, but through his study of philosophy and comparative studies of religions he converted to Christianity. He has a unique writing style that can break through any religious, social, and cultural barriers and reveal the truth as it is. Moreover, his books are based on first-hand eyewitnesses, because he witnessed those dire conditions of Muslim women with his own eyes. He has written 25 books, but so far has published 10 of them. His books have been written in English and translated by him into Arabic. All his books are on the issues of women in Muslim societies and terrorism in Islam. His books are available on his YouTube pages as he reads them in English and Arabic.